The Galaxy Fold has been delayed. And as somebody who's had this phone in their hand and using it for the better part of a week, there's a lot to talk about. The phone screen, the main one underneath, is plastic. You can't bend glass, so something else has to be used. It was a plastic polymer that makes this screen sort of function and work. It also bend and flex. To protect that plastic screen from scratching, Samsung put another layer of plastic on it. So reviewers got these in our hands and figured, I'm gonna peel that off as well. Problem with that was kind of borked the phones, sort of made them stop working and then gave issues with the screen functioning properly, and things just stopped working altogether with the devices. And we saw big tech reviewers have those problems. And sort of one of the last issues that we saw was the design of the hinge. Things can get stuck and caught in there, work its way up to the front, create a little bubble under the screen, and that eventually made the phone stop working. So how Samsung was going to respond to these issues, if at all, was a real big question mark. And with someone who has this phone, one I've been asked by a lot of media outlets and sort of friends that are in the industry. Samsung answered that question. They said they are delaying the launch of the Galaxy Fold. They're stopping taking pre-orders to evaluate what's going on and presumably to fix the problem. There are two very clear schools of thought. One is to say, good for you, Samsung. Before a device ships out to the public, you are fixing inherent problems with perhaps a flawed design. The other side of that coin is, how could a phone with these inherent flaws ever make it out to reviewers' hands in the first place? And as somebody who's been using the phone, had it in their hands again for a week, there's a lot more to the phone than the headlines. There's a lot more to the design than the stories you've been reading. Let's talk a little bit more about the Galaxy Fold and see the bigger picture. The Galaxy Fold has kind of been my Mighty Morphin travel buddy for the better part of a week. I started off in New York, flew with it to Toronto for half a second, and then all the way back down to Southern California. And probably like you, when you saw the announcement for the Fold at Unpacked, I was kind of unsure about it, what the phone was going to feel like and look like in your hand. And sort of from the very first second that I picked up the phone, it felt like something different. So first, it feels premium. For $2,000, you would expect it to feel premium. If you could say any phone feels like a $2,000 phone, it would be the Fold. I mean, even the satisfying sort of sound it makes when it clicks open, to the clasping sound it makes when the magnets close and it closes the phone up, everything about it looks and feels really premium. I may not be the biggest fan of like the Martian green. It's kind of look at me for an already look at me phone. But holding this phone and using it on a daily basis, I definitely feel like I'm holding something in the higher echelon of sort of tech value. And so there haven't been that many firsts in the mobile industry like for a while. So when I picked up the Galaxy Fold and opened it up for the first time, it was a really awesome feeling to sort of see a screen that moved and morphed as I opened it up. And it was kind of reassuring that it wasn't like a bad screen either. It's a Samsung screen. It's plastic, but it looks like a Samsung screen. So colors look bright. It's dark like you'd expect from something that is OLED. But the feeling of folding a screen and putting it back in your pocket and then taking it out and opening it up is really cool. And you can't get that feeling, sort of that awe, like giant eyes from just, reading about it. Something you have to experience. And to experience it for yourself, it's hard not to think that this is the way all things are going to go, just probably not for a very long time. Continuity is a big part of the Galaxy Fold, and that's when you do something on the outside, it shows up on the inside, and then vice versa. That is really cool and works incredibly fast, and I initially thought that was a Samsung thing, but it's actually baked into Android Pie. So this is, again, where things were awesome and things I've never seen before. I could open up Chrome and be looking at a website and open this up, and that same website, exactly the spot in the article I was at, shows up on the big screen. If I'm framing a picture and I open it up, it's going to be there as well. Almost every app, save for Twitter, that I tried worked, and it was really cool. So for the sake of a new design, maybe it would have been easier for Samsung to change a lot of the features that have worked really well on their flagships. So I like that the cameras are essentially the same cameras that come from the Galaxy S10 Plus. So you get those three sort of different lenses. You get the standard, the zoom, and the wide angle. Then using the giant screen as a viewfinder, again, it's a really cool experience. So if you're wondering why I'm so positive on the Galaxy Fold, it's not just the Fold, it's that I'm really excited about foldable devices in general. I think a lot of the negative coverage coming out of the Fold has sort of sullied the opinions on what foldable phones can be. Now, I'm not making excuses for Samsung. These problems should never have made it to production. We should never have devices in our hands that are breaking the way that the Fold units are, but the potential of what the Fold can be and what it represents is a really cool place to be. So all the issues with the Galaxy Fold aside, it's made me believe in the future of foldable phones even more. And there's a lot of different ways this could go. It could be devices that fold out like this. It could be devices that fold the opposite way, like the Mate X. It could be like Xiaomi's concept we've seen, that is a tri-fold design. Using this phone and having access to that bigger screen, not necessarily carrying around a giant phone in my pocket, has been absolutely awesome. Seeing Instagram almost look like a real desktop app, being able to use continuity and jump in between the screens is a really awesome experience. And maybe that's why my gut shot reaction to people sort of complaining about the crease was, you're getting a foldable phone. You are looking at things that can do more than a solid slab of glass. And that's why I'm excited. So in the week I've had this phone, being able to take it to the gym and watch Netflix on the treadmill without having to carry an iPad with me has been absolutely awesome. When I want a bigger viewfinder to take pictures without looking like I'm holding a giant tablet with me has been incredible. Battery life has been awesome as well because you got two different spots to store battery. There is a really strong future with foldable devices. And before you can get to that future, you gotta take that first step. And the Galaxy Fold definitely took that step, and maybe that step was more than a stumble, but no one's gonna remember the first step on that marathon. All anybody's gonna remember is when you crossed the finish line. And we're far from that mile 26, but we are on the way to a future of changing designs. There are a lot of things that make the Galaxy Fold unique, and one sort of weird thing that's happened with it is a lot of people have come out of the woodwork, the YouTube woodwork especially, with opinions based on what they've seen and what they've read. And I do that as well. It's sort of the nature of YouTube. It offers a platform for commentary on things, and that's part of the beauty of being able to make videos. Something about the Galaxy Fold is just so different than the other devices that I've ever held. Admittedly, before I went in to actually use the phone, I thought it seemed like a silly concept. I thought it seemed like something that not many people were going to use. Then I started actually using the phone and realized there's a lot of potential in the device. And I started to see how the future of mobile communications was going to go, or at least an option for how it could go. And the Galaxy Fold, as flawed as it might be, was a first step on that direction. So as you decide whether or not you want to shell out the almost $2,000 to buy this one, or maybe even more for another company's foldable phone, I encourage you to find one, to go to a store where they might have a display unit and try it, because it's such a new form factor that I think you need to have it in your hands to see the screen unfold and actually see that extra real estate, and then evaluate if it's the right thing for you or not. So when you look to get a phone right now, you've got different companies with their different offerings, and you could pick which rectangle you like the best. Right now, a device you can buy, or presumably buy very soon, you're essentially limited to the Galaxy Fold. But imagine a future where there's a lot of foldable devices in different form factors. Maybe LG's got one that folds the opposite way. You've got Huawei's Mate X. Apple sit this one out for a few years and finally gets into the market with the iFold, or the iPhone Fold that maybe folds 2 or 3 ways and it replaces the iPad. The potential for what a morphing form factor can do is far greater than one that's already set as just a rectangle. The future of foldable phones obviously isn't here. New designs haven't even been thought of yet. New use cases, new apps that can take advantage of these new form factors probably are still in the back of some developer's mind sitting in a dorm room somewhere. But what this can be and what it represents, I still believe is the future. And now we're finally on that path.